Good morning, YouTube. It's man, Low George Page, aka the Emperor of WWE Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, I've been kind of quiet on my WMA. I don't talk about it as much because I focus pretty much on bodybuilding, but I need to be more proactive with my MMA stuff. I'm more like I pay attention to what the fights I like to see and the people I follow. But then there's a fight I saw over the weekend. It was like Saturday. It was San Diego. It was on the main card of Vera versus Cruz, and this is a pretty good fight. I don't know why I didn't talk about it, earlier this week. I mean, maybe I was just, I just kind of just, but I was watching how people have followed the content makers such as Calm Breaker 99, WWE Addict, my man, the coach, and a couple others have talked about this fight, and I should have talked about it. And it's a fight between two women who debuted at 115, the strawweight division, which is I still call it it's a killer's gallery. I mean, it's some great fighters, and it's just this was a good fight. This was between Yasmin Hogata, I want to say the name right, and Yasmin Lucindo. They both name is kind of sound the same, but the spell is different because you know Guardado. Sorry, I'm gonna say Yasmin. She's from Mexico, and Yasmin is from Brazil, and they're both young women. With Iasmin, she is 20 years old, and she's been fighting in MMA since she was like 14, 15 years old. And she was brought in as a last minute opponent because Yasmin's opponent was supposed to be um, Estela Nunez, and Nunez got dropped out. I think she got an injury or something, so she had to be forced out. And if you know anything about Yasmin, she fights over it because she's reaching from Mexico. She fights for Compete Global, which is a popular Spanish promotion, and fight promotion. As you know, a couple of ladies who I know who just recently fight on this promotion. Chantel Killer Coates, she fought there, and also Katie Perez, she fought there about a week ago, and they both won. And this is a great opportunity for these two women, being that Iasmin, saying me like this, because the last thing is I want to be too top over their last name too much. She's 20 years old, I said again. And, Yasmin, she's 23. And she's also a mother of a 5-year-old son. And, that's the thing about it. She's a mother and she's fighting. This was her debut, but her, like I said, her original opponent, Stella Nunez, had to drop out. And, so these women, being 3 years difference between her. And Yasmin, she's becoming the youngest fighter on the UFC. She's 20 years old. She was born in 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was just, God, I was still a young man. And, because I think, Yasmin, I'm going to say Yasmin, she came in about, a pound over the weight limit, but that's the guideline. As long as it's just a pound, they'll let you still fight. And Yasmin, she came in at like just a pound and a half short of her. This was a pretty good fight. I mean, these two women, they went at it. I think there was some other fights that happened on that card. There was some boos. Most definitely on the prelims were between Nina Ansaroff and Cynthia Calvillo. That was the worst fight. And those two were former strawweights themselves, fighting 125. But these women, these young girls were going at it. Throwing shots and kicks. They were throwing some hammers. This was a slugfest from the beginning and to the end. And even between the rounds, these two women still were cordial with each other. These two went to war. You see the blows. Yasmin throwing some good shots, and Iasmin throwing some good shots. They're taking some shots. Some shots have knocked some people down, but these two were standing. At some points, Yasmin had Iasmin on the cage and had cage control, and then they swayed places every so often. But they were going at it, and the crowd was loving it. They was cheering. This was a good fight. Strawweights usually put on some good fights. And this is like I think after watching what happened with Angelov and Calvillo, this was a good fight, and it was one of the fights right behind the co-main event was also a good fight, and this was like these women went to war, but they were still friendly and cordial to each other. Hugging and shaking hands when each round ended, and then at the end they hugged each other. But in the call, the judges it was a split decision and went defending for Yasmin. And I mean, she deserved it. She put up a good fight. They both put up a good fight. I think they should get fight of the night between the both of them. I mean, they should get. I know but then he can afford give both these young girls $50,000 a piece. And and Yasmin's very proud of herself, and she's talked to Daniel Cormier, and she speaks mostly Spanish, but maybe she gets a little better with her English. I mean, you don't have to need a translator, but this was a pretty impressive fight for both these women's debut. What's next for Yasmin? Maybe somebody in the another up and comer, or maybe that fight with her and Estela Nunez in the future. For Iasmin, there's a good chance we might see more of her too. I mean, she's still young, 20 years old. That means she could probably fight for another 10 years. And you see, they love their young stallions. They love their young up and comers because of the fact that they see potential in them. So, like I said, congratulations to both these women for put on a great show. It was a great fight. It was better than a couple of fights that was on that card, and they got to be on the main card where people like Angel Hill and Lupe Gurriedez and Nina Ezaroff and Sister Cavillo were on the prelims, and they were right after a good. They just came and they were right after a good fight that was before the main event. But congratulations to both these ladies. We hope to see more in the future, and much respect to they put on a show. They put on a show. I think this is something that made great women's MMA. It was a great women's MMA fight, and I think this people should pay attention to it. And this would also, I think they should bring in 105 because 105 girls fight just as hard too. So, anyways, this man always George Page, aka the Emperor of WWE Talk. Like, don't like, subscribe. I'm out.